Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Watch. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi, and start things out by taking a look at a deceptively sunny Denver, Colorado. Yes, the sun is back, but it's what you can't see that's the real issue. It's all the wind, right? It's been windy all day long. Peak gusts of 56 miles an hour at DIA so far. Out on the Eastern Plains, alignment already up to a 61 mile an hour wind gust, and those winds will probably pick up a little bit before they die back down mid to late this afternoon. So the story for today, the weather story, is the wind. Those winds, though, do back on off tonight, and then the sunshine, the nice and warm and very pleasant weather really takes over starting tomorrow. But until then, today, we do have that high wind warning in effect for the Palmer Divide and much of the Eastern Plains. Now, that does include us in Colorado Springs, in Pueblo, and by the way, also for our friends in the San Luis Valley, you are under that high wind warning as well. You're quite wind prone there in the High Plateau Valley there in the San Luis Valley. But first, from the Palmer Divide on south is where we're going to have those strongest winds today. Denver area, we are probably looking at our peak gusts right around now. That's my guess, is that those winds are maxing out right about now. But DIA, as I mentioned, 56 mile an hour wind gust. If you're flying in or out of DIA, and if you're like me and you get a little nervy on airplanes, just a heads up. That's just Mother Nature giving you a little bit of a rattle there. That is, it's just going to be a little bit turbulent coming in or out of DIA. I've been seeing a few moderate to severe turbulence reports coming in and out of the airport, which is due to those strong winds at the surface. Then you head out by Lyman. We did have an earlier gust up to 61 miles an hour out that way. Wouldn't be surprised to see a few of those 60 to perhaps even 70 mile an hour wind gusts pop on up out by Pueblo and Colorado Springs and La Hunt on Highway 50 later on this afternoon. By the way, fun that you can pick out the exact topography of the Cheyenne Ridge there, really in a wind hole thanks to the protection of the Cheyenne Ridge just to your north. Meantime, those winds accelerate as they approach the Denver area because of the looming Palmer Divide. It's a little bit nerdy, but the point is, it's very windy for us here in the Denver area, and especially along and north of I-70 right now. But again, I do think those strongest winds in the Denver area are taking place as we speak. As we get later on through the afternoon, we'll kind of slow this down for you. Those winds do back on off for us in the Denver areas in the next couple of hours. Again, my suspicion is we're looking at those strongest winds right now here in Denver. From Lyman, Colorado Springs on south, your strongest winds will be later on this afternoon, but everybody will see winds dissipate later on this afternoon and this evening. Closer look in here at the Front Range. Again, those strongest winds probably right about now. Then you get to mid to late afternoon, and those winds get back down into the 30 to 40 mile an hour range, which is still blustery. You'll still notice it, no doubt about it, but those winds won't be nearly as bad as what we're talking about right now and what we've seen throughout much of the morning hours. Then tomorrow will be a little breezy at times. Won't be that bad at all. Now, the temperature right now, it's 43 degrees. That it doesn't really matter what the temperature is when you've got a 50 mile an hour wind gust, because it's going to feel a lot colder, and yeah, you're probably not, you don't really care about the the temperature when the wind is that strong. Now in the mountains, it's a lot less windy. This is due to a pressure gradient between a very strong area high pressure overhead and a very strong area low pressure off to our east. So long story short, the mountain's not really feeling the winds much at all. You get into the Eastern Plains, though, those temperatures tonight do drop back down into the 20s and 30s, teens and 20s on up into the mountains. Tomorrow, way better than today. I mean, way, way, way better, with a high of 65 degrees. It's partly sunny. We'll have periodic bits of cloud cover moving its way through the Denver area. But again, the story for tomorrow, nice and mild with those highs in the mid-60s, and you'll actually be able to feel it because of the fact that those winds won't be nearly as strong. Those winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. It's a little bit gusty at times, but not nearly that as bad as today. So those highs, again, mid-60s, gorgeous for us. The 7-day forecast, how about that? Mid-70s from Saturday on with those highs. Perhaps, if we overachieve just a little bit, we could be approaching 80 degrees by the end of the weekend, early next week, before our next storm system arrives for the early to mid part of next week. So fair bit to get into there. And yes, by the way, if you didn't like my forecast, meteorologist Danielle Grant, who just walked there, you can see Danielle off in the distance. She will have your full forecast coming up at 9 News at noon, and also Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin will have more details coming up at 9 News at 4, 5, 6, and 9 and 10 on the 9 News Family Networks. In the meantime, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Hold on to your hats out there today and enjoy the nice weather for the rest of the week.